State of Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gage Grosskreutz. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts? Is there anyone who does not agree with the verdicts as read? Would you wish the jury polled? No. Okay. Okay, folks, your job is done.
As each charge was called out and each not guilty was spelled out by the court clerk, I looked over to the family of Kyle Rittenhouse, and at the very last one, his mother gasped. It sounded like one of those relief gasps. Her hands her head fell into her hands, and she appeared to be crying. The verdict, obviously not guilty for her son, means he is a free man at 18 years old after being charged in a double homicide case with 5 different charges. And of course, the prosecution cannot retry this case. That would be double jeopardy. It means that he can go about his life. As for the others in the court, there were family members of those who were shot by Rittenhouse as well. We expect to hear from them. And on the steps of the court, as has been for every single day of this trial, the uncle of Jacob Blake, Justin Blake, has been standing there, and there have been crowds of people, up to about 24 people on any specific day. They are clearly and visibly unhappy with this verdict, but it is the verdict that this jury saw fit. We learned a lot of things in this trial that we should sort of go over, and I was just kind of reviewing some of the things that we learned in the trial that were not necessarily public knowledge before that. One, there has been a lot of talk, especially by politicians, about where Rittenhouse was the night of this shooting, and it turned out he was already in Kenosha, that he had family here, including his father, that the gun was here in Kenosha. He did not bring that over state lines. It turned out during this trial that we learned that the gun that he had a hold of, he actually could legally possess, according to the judge and according to the law here, because of the measurements of the gun. Had it been shorter and a short-barreled gun, then it would have been illegal, but because it wasn't, the judge said that that needed to be thrown out, and indeed, that charge of a minor in possession of a gun illegally was thrown out in this case. The jury only looking at those who were injured, those who were endangered, and those who were killed the night in August that Rittenhouse ended up shooting people. We also learned that he was working here that night, that he had stayed over that night here, and we saw some video of, for example, Joseph Rosenbaum, the first person that he shot and killed. We saw drone video, high-resolution drone video, that did not come into this case until 5 days into this trial, and that is under contention. There was a mistrial requested because of both what the defense called prosecutorial overreach, and they said they were going to file about this video that appeared very late in the game, the high-resolution version of it. But now none of that matters. They're certainly not going to ask for a mistrial after their client has been acquitted in this case. But we did learn a lot of things from that video because it was very clear what was going on. There was a video of Rosenbaum chasing after Kyle Rittenhouse during this time when he had his gun, and at one point Rittenhouse levels his gun at Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum continues towards him, and as he gets close to Kyle Rittenhouse fires his gun several times. We learned also in the trial that he was hit 4 times, and obviously this is a AR-style rifle that has the capability of firing very quickly. But we have also learned that in this case, we saw one of the only person who was shot and did not die that night from Kyle Rittenhouse's gun. And we heard from Gage Grosskreutz, and this was a pivotal moment in the trial, hearing from the one defendant who was shot but survived Kyle Rittenhouse shooting at him. And he said that when asked whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse shot at him when his hands were up, he said no. And then he was asked by the defense, did you point your gun at Kyle Rittenhouse and then he shot you? And he said correct. That was a big moment for the jury for sure, because that could be self-defense, and that indeed is what the jury decided. When you go through each one, Anthony Huber, who was also shot before Grosskreutz, he had a skateboard and he attempted, and you can see on the video, hitting Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, the prosecution has maintained that they said that the people that chased after Kyle Rittenhouse after he killed Joseph Rosenbaum were simply doing so because they thought they had a mass shooter on their hands and were trying to stop him. But the jury clearly thought that in this case, after Kyle Rittenhouse tripped and fell and turned his gun and people started coming at him, that he was only defending his own life or from great bodily harm, and that is what they have decided. Of course, this case has a lot of tentacles. It is not just what is going on inside of that court. This has been a political football, if you will. It has been, the right has looked at Kyle Rittenhouse this whole time as a hero. The left often, or the far left, has looked at Kyle Rittenhouse as a devil, and it has just gone back and forth. If you look at anything online, you will see for and against, and it is pretty clear that people are sticking to their sides, but they were not in this court, and many folks did not watch this trial. We did. We were in court watching every second of it, and the jury looked at all of the evidence. We know they looked at it hard because this is the fourth day of deliberations. They have deliberated more than 24 hours over the past 4 days, and so they looked at everything. They re-watched the videos. And really, when people talk about the star witness in a case, the star witness in this case, or the star evidence in this case, was the video. The video could be watched as many times as they wanted to watch it. The public could watch the video if they liked. And so it seems that in this case, yes, Gage Grosskreutz was an important witness, but the video seemed to be the star in this case because the video shows you exactly what happened that night. Anna?
Well, and we know that that is exactly what the jury was focused on in their deliberations, because they put forward about 5 questions, I recall, to the judge, to the court, and most of those specific to the video as well as the jury instructions themselves. So they were reviewing that video, one of them in court, the other one they were able to take back and watch on a laptop so they could review it multiple times if necessary, and they were very confident in this verdict as they delivered that not guilty verdict on all 5 counts that Kyle Rittenhouse was facing. We saw him tear up in court. We saw him what appeared to be a collapse in some way as he hugged his lawyer and then was visibly shaking as the judge confirmed he was now a free man, just 18 years old when this crime that he was alleged to have committed took place. He was just 17 years old at the time when he went to Kenosha, Wisconsin with that AR-15 style weapon and ultimately shot and killed 2 men and wounded a 3rd. But again, not guilty on all charges. His defense was it was in self-defense, and the jury apparently agreed.